Guys, welcome back on the Gen 5 3S GTE. So the radiator is busted. So today we're gonna get these radiator fans out and hopefully get this radiator replaced. Just looking at it, doesn't seem like a difficult job, but we're gonna get right into it. So that's what we're gonna do today. Hopefully we're gonna get this radiator out, put a new one in, get the factory fans to work with the new aluminum radiator, and be back on the road so we can focus on that car, which is the other MR2. But look, let's just get right into it. Let's see what we have here. So looking at the top of the radiator, we have these brackets, two 12mm bolts. So you just pull these off. Again, this does not, doesn't look too hard, which is kind of surprising because I don't want to jinx myself. But basically you pull these brackets off. That's what holds the radiator on the top. And then it literally just sits in two little divots in the bottom. So it's technically loose, but we want to get the fan out first. So to do that, we got to pull these electrical connectors here. So let me just put these off to the side, and then we're going to go ahead and pull this connector and that connector, and then we head under the bottom of the car. So to get these off, essentially just press in here, and then these just pop right out. And the same on that side. So it's pretty simple work on the top here. Now obviously I've taken a plastic cover that comes here. Most of you will have that on your car, some of you might not, but if you do, it's just some pop rivets here. Just pop these out and this thing comes right up. So we got the top disassembled. Let's head on to the bottom and see what we have underneath there. Moving on to the bottom of the car, so we're trying to get the fan out first because I want to get this fan, see what it's going to look like if I try to adapt it to this aluminum radiator, because I don't want to use the fans that came with the kit. I want to use the factory fan. So we're going to pull these 4 bolts here under the bottom, and then we're going to head back up top. There are 2 bolts there, and then hopefully this thing should just slide right down. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't. So let's do that and we'll see what happens. Alright, that was pretty quick and easy. So 4 bolts on the bottom, and now we got 2 bolts on the top. So right here we have one 10mm, second 10mm. So we're gonna, like I said, we unplug the electrical here, and obviously I did this off camera, so it will be easier as we always do when filming. And now we're gonna pull these 2, and I should just free this fan. Should be able to just lower it to the bottom. I'm gonna pull this first one, and then I'm gonna carefully pull the second one so this thing doesn't fall down on me like crazy. But let's see how I can do this without too much drama. I did put a mat under the bottom in case it falls down, it doesn't damage my floor. And now it's free. Now I gotta get it down. Let's see. Okay, there you go. Alright, so that wasn't too difficult. So there is our factory fans. So now we're gonna take it over to the bench, see if how we get this to fit on the aluminum radiator. Well, we have the factory fans here, and they were cooling just fine before I took them out. So I'm gonna assume that these motors are still got some useful life. I mean, they have some play here. I do have a new, well, not a new, but a second-hand one that was barely used. So in case one of these are weak, I can always swap it out. But let's see what this will look like. So I gotta take this off, but just for the purpose of just kind of mocking this up, let's see what's lined up. So as you can see, this bolt and this one, there's a gap here. But if I separate it by pulling this bolt and this one, I might be able to get, well, I definitely will be able to get this one in here and then move this one over. So there'll be a little gap in the middle. And I'm hoping that between the top bolt here and the 2 bolts on the bottom, it won't create too much of a vibration. So let's see what it looks like on the back end. Let me switch this around. So these are those 2 bolts in the center that will basically separate these 2 fans. So if I can get it to line up on the top, because there's just 1 bolt, then this will go here. And as you can see, they're off, they're offset a little bit, but what I can do is, I gotta take this fan off and figure it out, but basically, let's try this side. Yep, here you go. So not bad. We have the this one in the top lined up, and I think this is close enough. We can make that work. And then I just got to build a bracket to attach this one right here, or put a hole right here, bend this over, and then use a bolt with a washer to hold this down. So I think this is going to work well. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to clean this up. We're going to come back, we're going to separate everything, and then we're going to start retrofitting this fan. Let's start off by separating these fans. So here is the top portion, and you can kind of tell because this is the drain, so that's pointing down. That's where you have your 4 tabs at the bottom. Just to try to get, make sure these bolts come out easy and nothing is snapped. It looks decent condition. I know in terms of cooling capacity, from what I've read, it seems to work better than the other fans. So why not reuse what you have? And you know, like I said, I got this radiator, so if I can get this installed without having to spend any more money, then that's a win-win as well. So here you go. Fans are separated. So now just the custom work on the radiator. So that's coming up. Alright guys, so I got the first fan installed, well, somewhat installed here, kind of mocked up. So I'm able to get the front bolt in. So that's a piece of cake, and it's sitting nice and flush right here with the radiator. So now if we look to the back, we're having some clearance issues right here. So I'm gonna get a Dremel, just kind of clearance this piece right here, and clearance right here as well. And then this will sit down, and as you can see, you'll see the offset on both sides. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this yet. I could flatten this portion, put a washer, and I think that should be good enough to keep it in. But the first thing we gotta do is clearance here, so we get this thing flush, and then we can figure out what's the best way to get this thing bolted up. But so far, I think it's gonna work out pretty well. I got the 2 fans off, or the second fan off, because I saw the first one off already, and I mocked up the factory fans. So this one on this side, as you see here, it's on pretty steady here. And I was gonna build a bracket, but you know, I was able to get this bracket to just have enough meat on the bone, if you want to say, to get a washer over it, so it kind of holds it in place. And then on this one, it was offset a little bit, so I built this bracket to go in here. And as you see on this side, I just cut the bracket here. So the idea is I can get a washer over this, like kind of like that, and then just bolt it down. But the problem is that I ran into, which is kind of crazy because I don't understand. I guess it's designed to work with those fans that we had on, the smaller fans, because these things are actually not threaded. Fortunately, I had this tap, and it's not metric, it's standard, but you know, we're gonna work with that for now. So since this is soft aluminum, I was able to, you know, tap some threads in here, and I got some 1/4" hardware from Ace, and you know, was able to bolt this down. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna tap this in. Trick here is to make sure you get this in nice and straight and just turn it down. So let's go ahead and do that. All things considered, I think it came out pretty good. So we have this here, pretty snug. This one, see, I can't really move it. And on the front, I'll put some better hardware in here. But as you guys see, it lines up and it's pretty flush with the radiator. Next thing I have to do now is go to the car, and I'll just show you on the bench. So there is a drain plug here on the factory radiator, so we'll drain the coolant. I'm not going to drain the entire system because I have the car. As you can see, the car is at an angle, so I'll just drain what will flow from the radiator. Everything will sit in the back, and then we'll pull those hoses that are pretty much right here. These guys, I got some new ones, so we'll pull these, and then the radiator should just lift right out or drop from the bottom, and then we'll drop this new one in. But I still gotta clean this up and make it look good before I put it back in. There's some rust spots here. I want to sand those off, get it painted, and you know, I think this is the easy part. The hard part is gonna be once we get the coolant back in the system, because this one, the aluminum radiators, they have this type of bleed port here, which is not like the factory system. And I'll show you what the factory system looks like, and I can tell that this is going to be a problem, because if I come around here to the vehicle, that aluminum radiator is much larger. So I think this is like 26 and that one is like 30. So that bleed screw is going to pretty much be sitting right under here. And I don't know how we're going to be able to get a hose there. This is a factory system. It has a little pipe. So you typically hook up coolant hoses, and there's a whole bleeding procedure on that. So, you know, different design, but we'll see how it works. But let's get this radiator out next, and then we'll continue to get this installed. There's a hose right there, and we have another radiator hose on the top. So there are two clamps. I'll try to give you a better view on the bottom. So we just gotta try to get those clamps off. It is tedious, so you know, you're gonna have to just play around and, you know, fight with it. I did put some penetrating fluid inside the hose where the clamp is to kind of get it to break free, and that's what we're working with. But we're gonna get this radiator out today. Here's a view from underneath. So I had that clamp removed and the hose removed as well from the radiator on this side. Now this is the other side, so this is kind of like what it looks like, and this is the space you have to work with. Not too bad. I did take off the inner cover inside the frunk, as you can see right there, so it gives me some more clearance. But yeah, you just gotta pull these clamps and just wiggle those hoses off, and that should free the radiator, then we get it out. So I decided to cut this hose on the bottom right here, and just to get it off of this neck, because there's no point trying to save a hose that I'm going to replace. And then these are the covers that I pulled on the back. So essentially this cover right here, pull it off right here, so it gives you some clearance to work with the hose in the back. And I'm going to stick my hand through here. This is on the driver's side. And I'm just gonna pull this hose off. So there you go. Now I got the hose off. Voila. And there's, I cut it right here because it was just stuck on there, and these I'm sure have been in the car for a while. So we're gonna get some new ones and put these on. So now the radiator is ready to come out. It's loose. Just gotta lift it up and slip it out to the pockets in the bottom, and I'm gonna drop it from the bottom. We were able to get the radiator out, did some painting here as well. This is just kind of like a quick update. Following on what you just saw in the video, I did get the fans painted, so there they are. Looks much better than what we were seeing earlier. So these got cleaned up and painted. I mean, look at the plastic, came out pretty nice. So all in all, we're making some progress here. I'm probably not gonna film putting this back in, because you guys saw me taking it out for the most part, and the reverse is just kind of, it's just a reverse putting everything back in. So we have our radiator ready to go. I did swap over the sensor, because this is actually for the 93 model. This is what the one on the 91, 92 looks like. So you gotta swap the sensor over, and this is ready to go. Fans are painted. This is the old radiator, so here's where we had that leak on the side. So we definitely had a problem, which we know for sure we had. And that is the old radiator. Looks like it may have been leaking in a couple spots, but it was very slow. So that's kind of like where we are. So with that said, we're gonna close out. My garage is a mess, but we're gonna get this installed. So next video you'll probably just see it installed in the car. And as always, we appreciate everybody watching and tuning into the channel. I know you guys love your MR2 content, so I try to do that every week here, just to make sure we're keeping these cars alive and current for everybody to enjoy. So see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.